What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about what's been going on in the world of thermoformed pickleball paddles. I've received dozens of messages over the last couple weeks asking about my opinion on the various things that have been happening right now, and I thought it would be much easier to just make a video giving you my thoughts on everything in one place. So this is going to be a much more raw and less edited video than normal, so be prepared to hear me ramble on a bunch of different opinions and thoughts about what's going on right now. The first thing I want to talk about is how likely thermoformed paddles are to get banned. There's been massive amounts of discussion surrounding this topic, and we even made a podcast and newsletter about some of it, which I'll leave linked down in the description. But at the moment, my hunch is that these paddles will not be getting banned. I don't know this for fact. I think when you look at this issue, it's just way too hard to regulate. For the pros, I think you could do a deflection test on site, but I think any pro that has been breaking in a regular paddle for quite some time will be at risk of their paddle failing randomly. Delamination is not a new issue to thermoforming. It happens to regular paddles as well. According to PaddleFix, they have said it's a very regular issue. In fact, just this week, my brother's Electrum Model E has delaminated in certain areas, and another person came to me with a very delaminated Yola Hyperion 16mm. With all these paddles being able to delaminate, there's just no way to regulate it across the board. If you ban thermoforming paddles for delaminating, you're going to have massive amounts of other paddles to get rid of as well if you want to be fair. The primary issue, or the problem that people have had, is that with regular paddles, they go dead when they delaminate and they aren't useful anymore. With thermoforming, they hit harder, and there's a number of people out there who much prefer this paddle when it hits that hard. And I'm not gonna lie, I've played against a number of delaminated thermoformed paddles, and they hit really hard. The game is definitely harder to play against someone who has one and can use it well. I think a retroactive ban of a paddle formally approved would result in USAP having some legal issues with each of the companies. My hunch is that the organizations are going to tell players that they need to be aware of when their equipment is in or out of spec, and if you get caught with one, there will be some form of punishment for it. Maybe if you're an amateur and you got gold at a PPA or an APP, and your paddle was found to be delaminated, they just take away your win. Now, how seriously they're going to look at this for the amateurs, I honestly have no idea, but I think that's the only way you can actually do this. You can't just get rid of them. Otherwise, do we get rid of any paddle that delaminates on the market? I don't think you want that either, because you're going to have a lot of companies that are going to be very upset, and this has been going on for a long time. The reason thermoforming, like I said, has been such a problem is just because the paddle gets better. So yeah, if you ask me, I just don't think there's any way to put a ban in place on these paddles. Now, of course, places like the PPA, they can kind of do whatever they want, right? We already saw that with the carbon paddles where they said, hey, if you use these, you're just going to have to get them tested afterwards. Well, maybe that should be happening to every paddle, because any paddle can technically delaminate, and it would fail the test when it delaminates. So I don't know. I think it just opens up a big Pandora's box if we go down that road, so I am curious to see how they handle it, but I think a full-on ban is unlikely. The second thing I've been getting a lot of messages about is Legacy and their shipment orders with the delays. While I don't have all the information surrounding this, I am not anywhere near the owners and I can't see what's going on a day-to-day basis, they are relatively active in my Discord and have answered many questions recently. It seems the orders have been shipped out to roughly the 26th of January, or at least that's the batch they're working on now. That's around the time my review came out, so there's probably going to be a bit of a delay as they try and get through all of those orders, because that paddle blew up a lot after that review. In fact, it's actually one of the most popular reviews I've ever done on my channel, if not the most popular one. The common answer that I've heard from Legacy is that they are having all of their paddles manually checked to make sure they aren't shipping out faulty paddles. Now, what they're doing or what they're checking for, I honestly don't know, but I think with all of the heat on the companies as of lately, they all want to be careful and send out paddles that are supposed to function without issue. The impression I've got from them in my Discord is that they are working around the clock to get all of these orders done, but there just isn't a lot of employees to help. I think a lot of the issue has been that they were making promises when their shipments were going to come, and they kept getting pushed back, which has caused customers to understandably be upset. If I recall, the initial batch was supposed to come in around mid-February, then it got pushed back to late February, then it got pushed back to March 10th, and then there was no real update on if the March 10th order came out, and then orders have been coming out slowly. So it makes perfect sense why customers have been upset about this. Some people have been waiting anywhere between 2 and 2.5 months, which is a long time, especially if they've already taken your money. So I think there's understandably been a lot of skeptics about what's going on, especially as updates kind of slowed down. But I have been following this closely, and people are starting to get their orders. People in my Discord have got them, people on Reddit have got them. So we'll see how it continues to shake out. I do hope that everyone gets their paddles soon because, yeah, it would be frustrating to wait that long for a paddle. But that's really all of the information I have for now. You can always join my Discord. There's a link in the description if you want to try and stay up to date with some of that. I think and hope that this was just the unfortunate combination of a small company basically blowing up overnight. No one really knew about Legacy until January of this year, and then after that, everyone on the internet knew exactly who they were. So I'm sure they just got slammed with orders that they weren't ready for, and then combine that with the delaminating problems. It's just a big storm that probably no company wishes they would go through. But if I have any other updates in the future, I'll make sure to let you guys know about it. The third thing I want to talk about is the new batch of paddles coming in with the alleged fix. Most of the companies have said that they are using new glue, and some of them are claiming that they're using other methods alongside the glue, but they weren't willing to share what they were, likely because they don't want to give the solutions away to competitors. So far, I have had new batches from Vatic Pro, 6.0, and Carbon arrive to my place. 2 of the alleged new glue Vatic V7s broke on me, but after talking to Vatic, they claimed that the factory made those with old glue. I was then told that the Vatic flashes all absolutely have the new glue, and I have a friend of mine who is testing some of these thermoformed paddles with me, and he's not been able to break the new one yet. The reason I have him helping me is because he hits extremely hard and plays very frequently. Previously, he managed to delaminate one of my Vatics in 7 days, and then the second one in 3 days. And then his own Legacy Pro was somewhere probably about 2 weeks or less, maybe even a little shorter than that. So the fact that the 2 he has right now, which is an unreleased thermoformed paddle as well as a Vatic Pro 16mm, are still holding up, that's a great sign. And I'm hoping that it continues to stay that way. The 6.0 Double Black Diamond has been my favorite paddle as of lately, and I haven't been able to get mine to delaminate either. I probably have 40 plus hours on it, and the paddle still plays awesome. I recently got one with new glue and have been exclusively using that for all of my drilling and higher level games. So I'll keep everyone posted on the results of it, but more than likely we won't have a lot of information until about a month from now. I think if we hear minimal issues after a month, the fix is probably working. The other question I want to pose is how long does the paddle need to last to consider it fixed? Considering that many regular paddles are able to delaminate and it's a somewhat common issue, how long does the thermoformed paddle need to last for all of us to agree that the new glue or the new fix is working? I'm sure everyone's going to have different answers. The unfortunate thing about pickleball is that all paddles break down in some capacity. Some do last longer than others, but for the most part, they're all using very similar materials, if not identical materials, that are far from long lasting. But you can bet I will be keeping a very close eye on this, and as soon as I have more info to update, I will let you guys know. I want to end this video by saying that I should have thermoformed paddle reviews coming up. Like I said, the 6.0 Double Black Diamond is my new favorite paddle, and I've been loving it the last month. That review should hopefully come out sometime next week. I wanted to see how these issues would be handled before making an in-depth review. I've been hitting these paddles since January to bring you guys as clear of a picture as I can about the upsides and possible issues. And my goal has and always will be to bring you guys as much transparency as possible when it comes to the paddle industry. So I appreciate everyone who has been waiting with me on these reviews. I know a lot of you are very eager, but I wanted to make sure that we had all of the information. So now that it appears things are getting a little better, I'm going to go ahead and start making those videos. And if anything changes, I will make sure to let you guys know. But that's all I've got for now. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.